May I?
Yes. Please have a seat.
Thank you.
Could you kindly introduce yourself?
My name is Uzair Gul, and I'm originally from Karak, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. My family migrated to Islamabad when I was 4, and I was raised and schooled in Islamabad. When I completed my intermediate, I moved to Lahore, and I graduated from Forman Christian College, University in Lahore, with a major in political science and minors in sociology and philosophy. And I graduated magna cum laude at the top of my department. Since graduating, I focused on the civil service exam, and this was my second attempt.
Thank you so much, Uzair Gul. Foreign service is your first choice.
Yes, it is.
Tell me why.
I think the background I have, the educational background, and my own personal interest, the foreign service suits me better than, say, the police service or the administrative service.
Could you tell me what's the difference between an ambassador and a high commissioner?
A high commissioner is someone who is serving in a Commonwealth country, while an ambassador is someone who is serving in a non-Commonwealth country. A Commonwealth country is a country that was typically part of the British colonial empire.
Right. What is your view on Pakistan's foreign policy?
Pakistan's foreign policy. When Pakistan became an independent nation, we became an independent nation in a very difficult time frame, a very difficult time point in history, as well as in a very difficult geographical region. We had India, we had Afghanistan. Afghanistan didn't accept us. India wanted us back. And I feel like Pakistan's long-term foreign policy over these 75 years, Pakistan hasn't done an amazing job, but it's done the best of a very bad situation. For example, if you look at the current state of other nations, Iran, it's probably the most sanctioned nation on earth, or Afghanistan. Pakistan has done itself a good service. It's not an amazing job, but I would say it's a functional state. It's not a failed state, and even that is a success.
There is this, observation that Pakistan's foreign policy is shifting from geopolitical to geoeconomics. What is your view on that?
Well, the shift from geopolitics to geoeconomics, this was a phrase that's been popularized in 2020, around 2020. And I think it's much needed. I think it's a breath of fresh air. We've strategized, we've improvised. I think it's time to think economically about Pakistan's situation. Pakistan is in dire straits. The IMF predicts that we'll have minus 0.5% growth this year, and we'll have about 2.5% population growth. This just tells us that long term it's unsustainable, and we need to move towards a policy that prioritizes economic development. And I think geoeconomics does deliver on that slightly.
Thank you so much, Uzair.
So, Mr. Uzair, what is the administrative setup of a district from PAS point of view, since it's your second option?
From PAS point of view, when you clear the civil service exam, you enter as an assistant commissioner. Then you're promoted as a BS17 assistant commissioner. Then you're promoted to a deputy commissioner. Then you're promoted to a commissioner, or I think it's called a commissioner, yes. And so on to you serve as a additional secretary in one of the federal departments. And then eventually you can serve as a federal secretary.
What was the devolution plan of Mr. Musharraf?
Mr. Musharraf's devolution plan was that he abolished the deputy commissioner office. It was renamed the divisional commissioner of officer, and the DCO. And
DCO stands for?
I think divisional commissioner.
District coordination officer.
District coordination officer. Apologies.
It's okay.
So the DCO, the deputy commissioner had magistrate powers. He could legislate on issues within, adjudicate on issues within the district. But the DCO could not. He did not have any magisterial powers. He could not adjudicate any disputes.
Other than these magisterial powers?
He was also made the principal accounting officer. And this was removed when democracy was reintroduced in 2007.
Okay.
And there were other reforms as well. He reorganized the local government system.
Don't you think that devolution, the surrender of executive magistracy or magisterial power were in the era of Justice Naseem Hassan Shah, much before the devolution plan?
I think it might have occurred, but there have been reforms in Pakistan's bureaucracy have been they've been a package deal. There have been stages where they've gone forward, and there have been stages where they've gone backward on the reforms. You can see this even in Musharraf's plan and when democracy was restored. So I think it might have been that they had magisterial powers and then they were taken away, they were given back, and then they were taken away again. I am not familiar with his tenure personally.
What is the distance of Trail 5 in Islamabad?
Trail 5 is about, I think, 6 kilometers.
Trail 3?
Trail 3 is about 8 kilometers.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome to CSPs Academy for CSS PMS preparation. CSS PMS तहरीरी इम्तिहान के तमाम मज़ामीन की ऑनलाइन और ऑन कैंपस तैयारी के साथ साथ सब्जेक्ट सिलेक्शन, असाइनमेंट चेकिंग, क्लास टेस्ट, मॉक एग्जाम, इंडिविजुअल टीचर डिस्कशन और फीडबैक सेशन का इनकाद किया जाएगा। इसके अलावा FPSC की तजवीज़ करदा बुक्स से बने मयारी नोट्स और CSP पब्लिशर की बेहतरीन बुक्स मुहैया की जाएंगी।
Okay, Uzair, you have taken Lee Kuan Yew as your favorite personality. He was a dictator.
Yes, this is a valid criticism. Lee Kuan Yew had serious authoritative tendencies that I personally do not agree with. But I think the success that he managed to achieve, it's undeniable. He was prime minister from 1959 to 1990, and he oversaw two independence from the British as well as independence from Malaysia. And he navigated the Cold War from 1959 in its entirety. And he managed to do all that while taking Singapore from a third world country to a first world country. I think even though he was a dictator, I do not...
Do you recommend that style of governance in Pakistan?
I recommend that style of statesmanship, not that style of governance, but his statesmanship was, it was exemplary.
When was Interpol formed?
I do not know the exact date, but I think it was 1953.
Okay. What is a black notice?
A black notice is an Interpol, it's like an Interpol warrant that is issued. I think it's for, I may be wrong here, I think it's for it's probably the most serious notice that the Interpol can issue.
There's this nature versus nurture debate in criminology. What school of thought do you believe in?
The nature versus nurture debate is, to be honest, it's larger than criminology. It's a debate.
I'm asking just in
from a criminological perspective. I think I fall somewhere in the middle, but I lean more towards biology. There are biological.
What are main characteristics of Mawardi's theory of rebellion?
I am not familiar with that theory, sir. Apologies.
What is the difference between devolution and delegation?
Devolution and delegation. Devolution, when you devolve authority, it's more decentralized. You devolve political, economic, and administrative authority. But when you delegate authority, you delegate only you delegate only administrative and fiscal authority.
Last question. Is there an alternative given to a juvenile trial in juvenile justice system of Pakistan?
The Juvenile Justice System Act was introduced in 2017. They have asked the government to set up juvenile justice courts, but as far as I'm familiar, the only juvenile justice court that has been set up was in Islamabad.
The question is there a different alternative given with the trial?
There is a alternative legal option, but I'm not sure it has been implemented in its entirety.
Thank you. Sir.
Well, Uzair, what did you know about the Rajput kingdoms in Indian history?
The Rajput kingdoms?
Yes.
I know that they were one of the people who the British had labeled as a martial race, about the Rajputs, and I know that they were fierce in battle. They won some battles from the British as well. But I don't know the exact history of the Rajput empires, to be honest.
Rajput kingdom, when India was decentralized and it was ruled by Rajput kingdoms. Okay, tell me, when Amir Taimur invaded India?
Amir Taimur, I would have to, this is a guess, an educated guess, but I think it was the 14th century.
In 14th century. Okay, can you know what is the relation between Zahiruddin Babur and Taimur?
Zahiruddin Babur and Timur. Zahiruddin Babur, the founder of the Mughal Empire. Babur was a Timurid prince. He was a descendant of Timur, and this was his great claim to authority. He was a descendant. Timur was a descendant of the Mongols, Genghis Khan, and Babur was a descendant of Timur. That was the relation.
Who were the warring parties in the first battle of Panipat?
I think it was Prithviraj Chauhan and I think Mahmud Khori, if I'm not mistaken, or
okay, what is
Ghori or
difference?
Ghaznavi.
No, you're wrong.
Apologies.
What is difference between war and revolt?
War is it's a proper battle between two states. Well, a revolt may be within the state. A population revolts against its government, or or an ethnic group revolt.
This in your mind, there happened an incident in 1857 in Indian history. Was it a war or revolt?
The British see it as a revolt, while the people of the subcontinent see it as a war for independence.
What is your take on it?
I think it was a war for independence.
It's not and you, little later you said that the war is a very organized battle between the two states. Was it organized?
It was not organized. It had a semblance of organization, but it wasn't a state fighting against another state. I think it was a war for independence simply because of its scale, simply because of the nature of the battle that was fought. It was. I think that the definition I've given you is an academic definition of war.
Do you know?
But I think it has a more expansive definition. It wasn't my personal belief.
What do you think? What is the impact of French Revolution on Indian history?
The impact of the French Revolution in Indian history, I think a lot of Indian intellectuals were inspired by the French Revolution, by the call for liberty, equality, fraternity, particularly some members of the Indian elite that were from Aligarh University. They were particularly inspired by the French Revolution. And I think, as far as I'm aware, the only link is that the Indians wanted to fight for their freedom, equality, and fraternity as well.
What is the significance of idea of right of self-determination in Indian history?
The right of self-determination in Indian history, I think it has played a very central role. I think Jinnah pointed it out as well. It was one of his founding principles. It's one of the founding principles of Pakistan's foreign policy. We believe that people have a right to self-determine their status as a nation. We've said that about Palestine. We've said that about the Kashmir issue as well. And I think it played a foundational role in the Pakistan movement as well as the Indian movement.
Qaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, he asked for a federal form of government with more powers to provinces. What was the rationale behind this?
Well, Jinnah understood that Pakistan is a diverse nation. It's populated by a number of ethnic groups, a number of linguistic groups, even a number of religious minorities. And a federal system is the only system capable of sustaining a state like that. And he had the United States, for example, as an example, which was another federal state which had managed to maintain a federal structure through its 2-century-long history. And
when happened Pune Pact? Pune Pact.
The Pune Pact. I have no idea.
When August offered.
When August offered?
Yes.
I am not familiar with the August offer.
Okay, you did political science?
Yes, I am a political science.
Okay, Hobbes, he gave a limited idea of revolution. What was his revolution?
Hobbes did not give a limited idea of revolution. As far as I'm aware, it was John Locke.
Okay, John Locke's revolution.
John Locke gave a limited idea of revolution in the sense that Locke believed that if a state does not provide for your freedom, the people have a right to revolt against that state. If a state devolves into tyranny, the people of that state have the right to revolt.
Okay, thank you.
Now, Uzair, your formal interview, mock interview is over. How would you assess yourself?
How would I assess myself on a scale of 10?
Scale of 10, yes.
On a scale of 10, I think I did about like 7.5.
7.5. Okay. You are a good candidate.
Thank you.
You have good expression. You have confidence. But you said your problem was overconfidence, and we were checking that. We were checking you out on that also.
Did I do well? Can I, if I may be allowed to ask?
We are all telling you. In your final, what are your dates for the final?
I think I'm in Islamabad phase 2, so that's probably around January, Feb. That's what I've heard.
Okay, good. You have enough time. Uzair, whatever you've written here is going to be your strength or your weakness.
Okay.
It will be weakness if you haven't worked on it. And it will be strength if you can defend what you say. As far as personalities are concerned, I would recommend take one so that you can work hard on it.
Just pick one?
Yeah, because you need to have full knowledge of whatever you're saying. You know, where is Jorge Borges from?
He's in Argentine. He's from Argentina.
But there's a lot of debate on him. Where?
He was buried in Buenos Aires. I think he was buried in Buenos Aires or Geneva, one of those two.
No, he was not in Geneva and he was not in Buenos Aires, because his nationality is also, there are many countries who claim that Borges is like from Spain.
Borges is, and like he was a Argentinian national.
Yes, but he didn't live in Argentina.
He lived in Switzerland for a while. He lived off, but most of his life was spent in Argentina. Later in his life, he was the national librarian of Argentina. He was
I know that. I've been ambassador to Argentina. I know his wife. I know everything about him. But what I'm saying is, when you choose a personality, you should be clear about it. So I'm saying choose one, because like that, you don't open your flanks. Pick one up and then work on it. Know all the aspects of personality, whether it's Borges or whether it's Lee Kuan Yew or David Hume. Whatever it is, okay? Books also, we didn't ask you any questions on your book choices. Review your books and do analytical analysis of these books, okay? Because the topic then relates to other authors having written on the same book. You should have some comparative knowledge if you have written these books. Running, do learn Olympic scores.
Do I know the Olympic scores?
Yeah, because you can be asked.
Who the world record holder is.
Yes.
I do know that.
Okay, refresh it.
I should.
Okay. Your optionals also, work on those. You have the potential. Please.
Thank you, ma'am. So you are overconfident. I must agree with this. Because जिस चीज़ का आपको नहीं पता, it's better to drop the question rather to give a false. मतलब जो लोग पैनल पे बैठे होंगे ना, मैम obviously is one of them. उम्र गुजर गई है उनकी इस दश्त की सयाही में, ठीक है? So अगर आपको confidence नहीं है तो आप कह दें कि it's better to drop the question rather to mislead the वो. आपका intro आपकी personality से match नहीं करता. It's a very bland intro. वेरी, मतलब मुझे कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं क्रिएट हुआ, ठीक है? आपका डिस्ट्रिक्ट अच्छा है करक, आपकी एजुकेशन अच्छी है, आपका कॉन्फिडेंस ठीक है, आपकी पर्सनालिटी ठीक है, मेक इट अ बिट इंटरेस्टिंग, ठीक है ना? कुछ तो पता चले ना। आप देखें आप पैदा कहाँ पे हुए, आपने पढ़ा कहाँ, आपके किस में क्या ग्रेड है, आपके वालिद साहब क्या करते हैं, आपके कितने बहन भाई हैं, ये पैनल सबको पता है। आपका जो परफॉर्मा उनके पास पड़ा हुआ है, वो आपकी डेट ऑफ बर्थ से लेके हर चीज उनके पास मौजूद है। सो डोंट टेल देम व्हाट दे ऑलरेडी नो, टेल देम योर सॉफ्टर साइड, मे बी योर को करिकुलर एक्टिविटीज, मे बी योर अदर अचीवमेंट्स, बट समहाउ मेक इट इंटरेस्टिंग। मेरा आपके इंटरव्यू में इंटरेस्ट क्रिएट हुआ है कोई 12 से 15 मिनट के बाद, बिकॉज यू आर अ वेरी प्लेजेंट पर्सनैलिटी। द मोमेंट यू सैट आई थॉट इट वुड बी अ गुड इंटरव्यू, बट आपके इंट्रोडक्शन ने मेरा इंटरेस्ट, एटलीस्ट मेरा, बहुत कम कर दिया। इट वॉज अ वेरी ब्लैंड कि जी मैं करक में पैदा हुआ, 4 साल की उम्र में इधर आ गया, FC चला गया, ये डिग्री कर ली, एंड दैट्स इट। आई डोंट थिंक सो। यू एडेड समथिंग एल्स टू इट। Did you?
No, I think that's it.
ठीक है. So अब पैनलिस्ट को ये सारी चीजें ऑलरेडी, so add something to it interesting, your softer image, which the panel doesn't know about you. समझ रहे हो? Otherwise चीजें आपकी more or less ठीक हैं, but खैर बाकी फिर सर कमेंट करते हैं.
Thank you. I agree with the panelists जो उन्होंने कहा. You're a good candidate. Let's be clear on this. But yes, you are overconfident. You at times you get a little agitated, a little carried away, a little overboard with things. So you have to tone down that part of you a bit, right? Then the eye contact also needs to be more. When I asked you a question, instead of first addressing me, you start looking towards the other panelists. You have to make an eye contact with all of us, but the one who's asking you the question, you have to have his attention as well. When I confronted you with Lee Kuan Yew, you said you don't like the ruler Lee Kuan Yew, the administrator Lee Kuan Yew, you like the statesman Lee Kuan Yew. Then there are thousands other statesmen. Why pick a controversial person? If I'm liking somebody for statesmanship, then I have the world to choose from. Why would I pick one who governed a city-state and fixed people in 30 years by a stick, right? These are few things. Rest, you're a good candidate. We have rated you higher than the rest, but you need to work on these things. Thank you.
Well, Uzair, जिस दिन आपका इंटरव्यू होगा ना, तो वहाँ पे जो पैनल है वो आपको अपनी असेसमेंट नहीं देगा. वहाँ पर तो सिर्फ आपको जो है मार्क्स अवॉर्ड किए जाएंगे. हम लोग जो है इसलिए आपको असेसमेंट आपको बता रहे होते हैं कि ताकि आप टुवर्ड्स योर फाइनल इंटरव्यू डू समथिंग गुड. ओके, तो एक चीज़ मैं आपको बता दूं कि जो चीज़ आपको नहीं पता, आप वार ऑफ ट्राइन को बैटल ऑफ पानीपत को मिक्स करके वार ऑफ ट्राइन के बारे में बता रहे थे, पृथ्वीराज चौहान वाली. ठीक है, तो आप वो मिक्स करके एक चीज़ नहीं पता. हाँ, सब कॉन्टेंट के नॉलेज थोड़ा सा आपको ज़रूर होना चाहिए. ठीक है, और अभी ड्यू टू शॉर्टेज ऑफ टाइम में बहुत सारी चीज़ें आपसे नहीं पूछ सके, लेकिन अपनी जो है ना सरफेस नॉलेज से हट के थोड़ा सा जो है ना सेकेंडरी क्वेश्चंस, और या जिसे हम कहते हैं कि क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग, इसमें आप क्रिटिकली एनालिसिस करके बता सकें, इन चीज़ों को भी थोड़ा सा देखिएगा. मिक्स क्वेश्चन होंगे, तो ये वाले क्वेश्चन जो है उनको भी मिस ना कीजिएगा और ऑब्जेक्टिव क्वेश्चंस को मिस ना कीजिएगा. ठीक है, और ताकि आप अपना फाइनल इंटरव्यू जो है वो उसको अच्छा कर सकें. यू हैव ए ग्रेट पोटेंशियल. इतना आपको आज अवार्ड हुए हैं ना मार्क्स, इससे ज़्यादा आप जा सकते हैं. अभी आपके पास टाइम बहुत ज़्यादा है.
Thank you for the feedback.
You're welcome.